Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in just a minute. This is the second in our learning series, and I'm happy to welcome you to the very beginning of National Apprenticeship Week 2024. And actually, to just be respectful for everyone who showed up on time, I'm going to get started right away. My name is Melissa McGregor, and I am a director here at Jobs for the Future. Welcome to National Apprenticeship Week. We are doing a learning series for Metal about work-based learning and pre-apprenticeship, registered apprenticeship, and all things work-based learning training. And today's conversation is going to explore successful pre-apprenticeship programs. Next slide, please. In today's agenda, we're going to have Lucinda Curry give us an overview of the Metal project. And then I have two exciting guests for you from industry on talking about their pre-apprenticeship programs. I'm very excited to introduce them to you. We'll have that discussion with the employers, and then Becky Caldwell will come up and talk about how you can get involved and start either a pre-apprenticeship or a registered apprenticeship. So it's, you can get involved too. Next slide, please. And I think I'm handing it over to Lucinda. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. So I just want to give you a quick overview of the Metal program, which stands for Metallurgical Engineering Trades Apprenticeship and Learning. Next. The rationale behind the Metal program really is because it's so critical to our supply chain. If COVID didn't teach us anything else, it taught us that our supply chain was not something we could always depend on, and that we need to make more products here at home in the United States, and also for our national defense, that it really brought to bear that metal castings, which are used to produce 90% of all durable manufactured goods and nearly all machinery used in manufacturing, was a critical piece of that supply chain. Our foundry workforce has decreased quite a bit, as you can see from this slide, from 2006 to 2019. And DoD has deemed it's critical to build resilience back into the casting and forging supply chain. So this project, Metal, came about because they looked at this and they said, we need to do something here. We need to rebuild the supply chain in casting and forging, and we want to put some money behind it. So they came to the Composite Institute. We're doing a lot of work in workforce development, and the Navy put dollars towards this project, and then the Air Force and Army also pitched in. So with the Navy's goal alone of building 381 ships in the next 30 years, that's just one piece of it. There's lots of cast and forged parts in Navy ships. But when you also look at all of defense manufacturing and all of just commercial manufacturing, our cars, our trucks, our airplanes, on the commercial sector, as well as the machines that make things, you can see that it's just very critical, and we look at doing this. So that's where Metal came about and what we hope to accomplish through this project. Next. So the reduction in the foundry workforce, as I said before, it's gone down, but now it's coming back up a little, and I want to keep seeing that go up. Along with automation, but then you also still need a workforce, a trained workforce to run that automation. So bringing foundries into the 21st century, which a lot of that's happening already in the United States, but working with companies to do that in casting, forging, plate rolling, and also in the production of the metal itself, all the way back from ore, is something that this project can address. Next. So it is industry-led, the initiative is. We're working with a lot of different associations and individual companies that are in this supply chain, but also working with IBAS, the Industrial Base for Analysis and Sustainment, who is funding the project, supported by Department of Defense, and our pilot program managers, ACME, the Composite Institute, And then Penn State, our first pilot university that's writing curriculum, working on boot camp curriculum, as well as the University of Tennessee, working on workshops for the younger age group, and also building curriculum with many more universities to come on board, as well as industry focused training providers on the internship and the apprenticeship side, like Jobs for the Future. Next. So again, this goes back to Dr. Matt Draper, who is our technical director of metallurgy and manufacturing over this project at IBAS. And, this quote, "The shrinking supply chain for critical defense materials demands an immediate response. We must rebuild a modern workforce, technologically adept and capable of meeting the demands of our defense industry with efficiency and innovation." So that's what we're striving to do with the metal project, and hope that we can answer your questions today and help you if you're one of the industry companies that's on board to listen to this presentation, as well as any of the educational and training providers. Next.
Thank you so much, Lucinda. So I'm going to talk about pre-apprenticeship. Next slide, please. JFF has a framework for high quality pre-apprenticeship programs, and Jessica's going to drop a link to that resource in the chat. But I just want to share a little bit about pre-apprenticeship in general. A lot of pre-apprenticeship kind of had a spike, I would say, in the last few years, maybe 2 to 3 years, with people, and I'm talking about organizations, colleges, employers trying to start a work-based learning program, and they weren't necessarily interested in getting a registered program, so they were calling things a pre-apprenticeship program. It's really just a misnomer, because a pre-apprenticeship program is really supposed to be a bridge that will help people to become eligible for a registered apprenticeship program. So, and I'm going to give you an example of that. So let's say you have an apprenticeship program, a registered apprenticeship program that is that includes a degree of any kind, an associate's degree, or sorry, my brain is not working, a bachelor's degree. And part of the curriculum of a degree program is that you have to take these general education requirements, right? If a person is a non-native English speaker, or their math skills have become rusty and they're not college ready to get into a degree program, then a pre-apprenticeship program could be maybe a boot camp to help them, dust off their math skills, help them remember the things that they learned in college, or that could give them really a primer on, how to take the test to get into a English 101 course, something like that. So it could be anything that you would need to do to get yourself ready for a registered apprenticeship program. And there are 6 key characteristics. Number 1 is that there should be a very transparent entry and success requirement, right? So how to get into the program should be published. It should be on your website. It shouldn't be a secret. It's not a lot of times, and I'm going to say this, and don't kill me, but a lot of times unions don't publicize their opportunities. It's kind of like, hey, we've got an opportunity coming up. It should be very transparent. However you get into this pre-apprenticeship program, it should be broadly known. There needs to be aligned skills that are sought by local employers in whatever occupation the pre-apprenticeship program is in. So like registered apprenticeships, a pre-apprenticeship program is associated with a particular occupation. It should culminate in an industry recognized credential, which is also a factor of registered apprenticeship programs. So you should get some type of credential, like maybe for the metal project, it could be associated with NIMS or some other industry recognized credential. There should be hands-on activities, right? So you're developing skills through work-based learning where a person is learning something in the classroom and then they get the opportunity to put that new knowledge into practice in real life, in a real work environment. With their getting their hands dirty, right? And it should offer academic career exploration and wraparound supports. So not every pre-apprentice is going to go directly into the registered apprenticeship program. It should get them ready to, but if throughout that career exploration, they see what the career is like, they should have some counseling, something with the education provider to say, is this the right career path for me? And then, of course, as I said in the beginning, it should lead to direct entry into a registered apprenticeship program or another high quality apprenticeship program. It's a bridge, and we don't build bridges to nowhere. It has to be a bridge to somewhere, which is the registered apprenticeship program. Next slide, please. A lot of these, what does a quality program achieve, are very similar to what I just talked about. It should link directly to the apprenticeship program. It should prepare people from underrepresented populations. So one of the things that, we strive to do is broaden the applicant pool. And, employers aren't always able to find qualified talent. And so we encourage you to hire unqualified talent and partner with a training provider who can help you develop that person. And we encourage people to reach into targeted populations of people who haven't had an opportunity in the past. As I said, it is a bridge to career opportunities for underprepared learners. And again, it should increase diversity and equity throughout the apprenticeship and workforce system and provide essential instruction, preparation, and supports that participants need to be successful in the next step in their career. So with that, next slide, please. I'm going to introduce you to two people who are leading pre-apprenticeship programs, and two phenomenal programs. I've actually already spoken to both of our speakers today, and really phenomenal programs. I'm first going to introduce Kimberly Knapp, who is the Manager of Training, Development, and Grants with WVA Manufacturing and Ferroglobe. This is an employer, and so it's actually very rare for an employer to have a pre-apprenticeship program. Most of the time, pre-apprenticeship programs are housed within schools or community-based organizations or business associations or some type of third party. And in this instance, an employer started their own pre-apprenticeship program. So I'm excited to get Kim to share some of her expertise and knowledge with you today. And we also have Rachel Maurer, who is the president of the German American Chamber of Commerce in the Pittsburgh chapter. And Rachel also, Rachel is in, the GACC is not an employer. They are the situation which I talked about just a minute ago, which is a third party. So they're an association, a chamber of commerce, and supporting multiple employers. So this is a group sponsorship. Group just means that there are multiple employers who are participating in the same program. And with that, I am going to let our speakers kind of introduce themselves. Thank you, Jessica, for taking the slides down. And I'll start with Kim. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Ferroglobe and, your role with them?
Sure. My name is Kim. I'm the Manager of Training, Development, and Grants with Ferroglobe. Our site is West Virginia Manufacturing. We're in Alloy, West Virginia. And Ferroglobe is actually a global company. We have 25 locations all around the world. We are a producer of silicon metal, which is a critical material, has been recently identified by the government. Silicon is really important to energy, technology, healthcare, personal care products, communication, aerospace. It's involved in a very vast number of products. We are the largest producer of silicon metal in the US.
Thank you. Rachel, do you want to introduce yourself and the German American Chamber of Commerce?
Sure. So I'm Rachel. I'm the president of the German American Chamber of Commerce. Of course, I'm in Pittsburgh, but I have Western Pennsylvania. And we do several different things. As what you would think of as a Chamber of Commerce with networking and events. Our organization, I'm sorry? Oh, okay. I thought someone was jumping in. Okay. Um, but our organization is also in Germany. Chamber of Commerce is the best English translation, but our organization in Germany is responsible for developing and overseeing the apprenticeship programs. And so, the on-the-job training, the classroom training, the placement of the apprentices, the trainer. And so we here in the US have a unique opportunity to really work with our employers. And really our mission is to develop our economic region here, not in Germany, but really allowing that transatlantic partnership and some of the skills that are done in Germany, adapting it here in this region. And so we have the apprenticeship, several apprenticeship programs and a pre-apprenticeship program, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Thank you. And actually, I think you both have a registered apprenticeship program that your pre-apprenticeship programs lead into. So I'm going to ask you to describe the problem that you were trying to solve when you decided to start a pre-apprenticeship program, and kind of which came first, the pre-apprenticeship program or the registered apprenticeship program. And I'll go ahead and start with you, Rachel. You were just speaking.
Oh, okay, I'll start then. It's interesting. We really actually formed both apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs simultaneously. We just didn't know it was a pre-apprenticeship program at the time. We have actually 5 registered apprenticeship programs. Our mechatronics, of course, is the most popular one. And it lends itself quite well to the automation that you talk about. And we work with a lot of metals companies because of that. But we have that polymer sales engineer, CAD/CAM technical designer, along with the EV auto technician. And the pre-apprenticeship program, though, it came about because this was before we decided it was called a pre-apprenticeship program. The term here in Pennsylvania really only came about in 2018. And we were doing a pilot in 2015. And, what we were realizing was, okay, we have this apprenticeship program that are identifying the skills. And in Germany, we have no issues really with starting apprenticeships at 14 or 15 years old, but it's a completely different education system and a different whole, legislative and child labor laws and just different things. So, it was really difficult to adapt that. So, but we always had looked at the working with really our K through 12 and our CTEs and those juniors and seniors and bringing them into the apprenticeship program. But what we were seeing was instead of trying to get a student, trying to get trainers, trying to get HR to come together and make a big decision of a full-time apprenticeship program when they graduate was a really heavy ask for both sides. And so we had thought, okay, what if they do an internship and try these apprenticeship programs out at the company during their senior year, and then ask both sides, the company and the student, if the full-time apprenticeship program is a good fit. And then in 2018, when it evolved into a pre-apprenticeship, that's when we really kind of registered this as a formal pre-apprenticeship, including then an industry certification that we carved out of our apprenticeship program that we felt comfortable and as a good opportunity for students to do at their in their senior year or even their junior year, but allowed them to really try those skill sets, get a national certification, and then if they say no to the apprenticeship, it was still a very valuable experience. And so bringing these students to a decision was really our critical reason to why we wanted to do this pre-apprenticeship program. And so it evolved as, you know, the state and Department of Labor started really creating that label of a pre-apprenticeship and what that would entail. So we were kind of already doing that, but then we just started putting more meat onto that, and just creating a lot more value into their the student, the pre-apprenticeship high school level, and then it went from there. So that's the origin story.
Thank you. I love that, the origin story. So Kim, in a similar way, I know that your program has also kind of evolved. If you could sort of start with the, you know, the what is it called? The backstory, the reason
In the
why,
beginning.
and tell us about your program.
Sure. Actually, we had an internal apprenticeship program was not registered for probably a decade or more. And when COVID hit, you know, COVID kind of put a stop to that program for a couple of years. So when I started here, one of my first tasks was to resurrect this apprenticeship program that had been kind of laying dormant for the last couple of years. And that resurrection, that was the perfect time to make improvements, to find, okay, what worked, what can we improve, you know, what do we want to do with this program when as we're bringing it back up. So you know, like Rachel, it did kind of evolve together, the pre-apprenticeship and the apprenticeship. We like to develop from within. So those going into our apprenticeship program are entry-level workers who apply or test to get into the program. And a lot of those components were already in place, you know, where they're coming in and they're taking a written test, and if they pass that, then they're on a 90-day probation where they learn basic skills. They're taking a skills exam before they are fully admitted into the apprenticeship program. So that piece was kind of already built. But some of the things that I was hearing when we were resurrecting this program was, you know, I'd like to have a credential. I'd like to have something that, you know, I can take home to my family and say, look, you know, look what I've earned, or look what I've done. And of course, that's very important internally, but they wanted something that was external also. They also wanted something that they could do here on site. So an internal program that was, you know, completely here that we could administer. So in just listening to what the employees and the apprentices were telling me that they needed, that's when the decision was made to try the apprenticeship program. So we have a registered industrial mechanic apprenticeship and a registered industrial electrician apprenticeship. And those components of the pre-apprenticeship just kind of fell into place because it was really initially designed that way. But what the registered apprenticeship gave us was that credential that the employees were wanting. It gave us the ability to completely offer our program on site. They didn't have to go off site to do any kind of testing or things that they had to do previously. But it also gave us a little more flexibility in how they learn as well. We partner with Marshall Advanced Manufacturing Center, so they give us some online training that our apprentices can use. They also come on site. They deliver customized training for our apprentices. We also partner with State Electric, WVU Extension. All of these partners are really great about coming here to our site and offering the hands-on training. So it really expanded the different ways that we could deliver the training to our apprentices. So they have the on-site, online, we have customized training, we have hands-on training. And actually right now we are working on developing the OJT aspect, which was another thing that they had brought up that they would like to improve. So we've been meeting weekly with the apprentices and just identifying, you know, what in each of these areas, what are the key skills And those key skills are going to become kind of checklists in their apprenticeship of things that they need to accomplish when they go from area to area.
Thank you for that. So I heard you mention Marshall Advanced Manufacturing Center, and I just want to stay on this topic of partnerships for just a minute. Are there other partners that you had to have in the delivery or that you had to invite to the table in the delivery of your program? They're your training provider?
Oh, yes, for us, of course, like I mentioned, Marshall Advanced Manufacturing is a major partner. State Electric and WVU Extension are also major partners for customized training for us. But beyond that, when it comes to funding, I mean, that's a whole other aspect.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find the funding to bring these training partners in, and the things that your program needs to get started and to run. That's the West Virginia Development Office has been really helpful with that. Our local WIB, or in Region 1, tremendously helpful with the funding and support there. And of course, JFF and Metal have also been very, very helpful in getting us started with these registered programs.
Thank you for that. And so, Rachel, let's explore partnerships a little bit. As a person who is doing pre-apprenticeship and registered apprenticeship, you're not the employer, you're not the training provider, so you have to have partners. How did that look, and who's at your table, your stakeholders?
Yeah, so I mean, we work with now over 50 employers, but we're very intentional, and we started small and working with a few employers, really identifying specific jobs, the skills that would be required. What would that OJT plan look like? And then really incorporating them more feedback from our employers. So we do have a council meeting every quarter with all of our members in the cohorts to really discuss the OJT, the skill sets. Are we addressing that as what the registered apprenticeship program has? What are the competencies? Really identifying those. We do have a little bit of a cheat sheet as well, because it is done in Germany, and these programs, and they have a huge investment in industry working and making sure that the testing, the skill sets are identified, that it's following the trajectory of technology. But we want to make sure it's a high skill, high demand jobs. So because we are working with students, we talk with parents and grandparents and guardians, and if we want to make sure that we are providing them with strong career pathways. And so those were, kind of the first steps, because we are industry led, working with our companies, but then also building programs that, the companies need, but the students want. And that, they are, have that national certification. All of our classroom partners are community colleges. All the classes that they take are college credited, so that they do earn a college credited certification and or associate's degree, along with the journeyman certification, and then also the German certification as well. We have the German test that we translate in English, but it really allows our trainers and our apprentices to really see on a global metric of, are they meeting the skill sets that, Germany requires. So those are really great. And so we worked with then our community college partners, showed them the curriculum that's done in Germany. A lot of them already had a lot of this already. So it's not as if, we're bringing something completely new. But then adapting that. So we do work with 5 community college partners. Of course, each one has their unique, set of classroom and instructors and schedules and courses, course numbers to manage. But all in all, we still, the actual RTI hours and what they're learning, all of our apprentices go through the same, no matter if they're in, one community college or another. So those are always beneficial, and it's really important to communicate and work together with your partners. And yeah, that's really important. And I know, we mentioned the workforce board. Our workforce boards are amazing here, especially with funding, but also really bringing everyone together as well. I can't speak enough about them. And of course, JFF. We also have a partner here, Keystone Development Partnership, that really is a catalyst to a lot. So it's a strong ecosystem. You certainly can't or shouldn't do things alone. But it is, I think if you are transparent and you explain what the goals are, ultimately there's a way, how everyone can come together and bring their piece of the puzzle and their strengths and put it together. And you then get a great program.
I love that, to think of it as a puzzle, and each person has their piece. So let's talk about recruiting. How do people get into your program? Where are you reaching out to? For the German American Chamber of Commerce, you have all these high school and community college partners. Are they supporting your recruiting efforts? And yeah, why don't we start with you again, Rachel?
Okay. I would say the biggest is in our pre-apprenticeship program. About 70 to 80% of our apprentices come from our pre-apprenticeship program. And how that that goes back again to the strong partnerships with our K through 12 and their CTEs. And we really work closely with our counselors, with our tech teachers, with our co-op coordinators, and really explain what this program is, really work with breaking down the decisions, so it makes it simple. So we go and we work with the counselors, explain this program, what companies have opportunities. We then set up a tour for those students. All they have to do is decide if they want to go on a tour. And then after that tour, we'll ask the counselors and the students, okay, do you want to try to do the internship? And if the answer is yes, another easier answer, then we set up a schedule and work with them, and the student and the trainer, and whatever overlap there is. There's no minimum or maximum, or really hours, or just as many hours as possible. Then we set them up with the MT1, which is our national certification. And then they do that, and then we ask them the big question when they graduate. And so, do they want to go into this apprenticeship program? And that recruitment works because of our strong partnerships and the support that we provide our counselors and the counselors provide us through this process. So we really have we have a pre-apprenticeship team. We do a lot of the resources. So whatever the school can do, great. Whatever they can't do, that's fine. We'll take on ourselves. We just really need a counselor to be the point of contact, basically. But that's really critical for us in the recruitment, because we have the employers and the trainers are as mentors on one side. We have counselors on the school side, and then we're really just trying to bring that together for the student to have as much support and a really mentorship throughout this program, so that they are able to, try these programs, get supported. They're, both with career and support services. And that's really been critical. So our K through 12, and some schools, it's the superintendent. Some of them are the counselor. Sometimes it's the tech teacher. It really depends on the school. Or, with our CTEs, the co-op coordinator. It just really varies per school, but the goal and the relationship and partnership really are consistent in that we're really trying to provide opportunities for students to get into these companies and try the internship portion to make decisions of what they want to do when they graduate. So I think everyone is on the same page on that. It's just sometimes the titles change. They also have career advisors now come. So, it really just depends on the school. We work with a lot of different, titles for sure. But, I think the important thing is we're really invested in working and supporting each other to help that student make a decision. And that's really the bottom line.
That sounds so great, really supportive. So, Kim, how do you recruit? You're actually the employer and you're making hires. How are you recruiting these individuals? Who's eligible? How do they get in?
The vast majority of our apprentices actually come from within. So we like to develop from.
Oh, I think we might have lost you, Kim. We lost Kim. I think
I see
that she was
that.
going to talk about an internal incumbent worker recruiting strategy. So while we're waiting for Kim to get back in, I'm gonna go back to you, Rachel, and if
Oh,
you could.
I think she's. Oh, go ahead. I thought she was back.
um,
I was going to say, Melissa, we also have Nat Jellyman on from the UTK apprenticeship at Goodwin. There's Kim's back, but would be happy to hear just a little bit about how they recruit too, since got Germany on here and the UK. Both have great programs. If we have
yes.
time. Back to Kim.
Yes. Sorry, sorry, Kim. Yeah, you disappeared for a minute there, but I think we're back on. And you were going to talk about how people get into your program, the recruiting efforts. Oh. Okay, we're gonna let that settle, and I see Nat. Nat, do you want to share anything about the Goodwin program, and just to kind of level set with the folks on the call, if you could share about any pre-apprenticeship efforts that Goodwin has.
So I think it's fair to say that we're slightly different over here in the UK from yourselves. And it's very, very clear that we spend a lot of our time in the schools, going into the schools, and we do it very much from sort of the age of 12, 13. We're going into the schools, updating them on what engineering actually is, because we're trying to break down those preconceptions of what they actually have, because unfortunately for us, and I'm not sure if it's the same for yourselves as well, they very much think that engineering is that old dirty environment, and we're trying to break down the preconception that parents have as well, that actually it's really not like that. So we've done a lot of work in the schools, doing careers days. We've done open days within our different factories. And we're also doing lots of videos as well to try and make it easier for the younger people to understand.
Thanks so much, Nat. And I'll just let everyone know that Goodwin is going to be featured in our event in January, so you can hear all about Nat's program. So Kim, are you?
I think I'm back.
Great, we can hear you. Do you want to talk about recruiting, or did you
Sure.
already? Are we past that? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure where I dropped off, but yeah, like I said, most of our recruits are internal. When apprenticeship positions are open, they can bid on those. Now, it does go by seniority, but they do have to pass an exam. And I do have materials that I am able to help them with to help them pass that written exam. If they are able to pass the written exam and they're able to secure that apprentice spot, they're on a 90-day, it's like a probationary period. That's still part of their pre-apprenticeship, where they're focusing on safety, basic skills, and then in the end, they'll take a skills test to get into the apprenticeship. But not to say that we don't recruit from outside of the company. We can, but our internal folks always have the first opportunities. If I don't have anyone internally, then we certainly can invite applicants from outside. And we do give credit for prior learning. If someone has attended a vocational degree or a vocational program or a degree program, we can give prior learning credit for that. We also have worked with Mount West. They have an occupational development associate's degree. where they can give block credit for completing a registered apprenticeship program. And the apprentices would just need to take their general education courses to get that degree. So we do have that pathway as well.
Nice. Excellent. So, for the folks on the call, they're seeing this beautiful snapshot of two great programs, but surely you had some challenges that you faced getting to this point where everything is working smoothly. Kim, sticking with you, do you want to share any challenges that you might have faced in developing the program to its current successful state?
Well, my challenges here, I think, were finding exactly, what is the right program for OJT? What are the right skills? What are the different ways of learning that I can offer my apprentices? And really, I have found that the answers to all of those questions I had when I first started here and was tasked to resurrect these programs, the answers actually lied with the apprentices and with the employees. They were very important part of that, an instrumental part of that. They're the ones that are out there doing the work. They're doing the job. So they were the ones that were best able to tell me, these are the skills that we need to be testing for. This needs to be part of OJT. We need to offer more hands-on training, or some people learn better with online. They need some online support. So really, I took a lot of my direction from the apprentices themselves. And to me, that has proven to be the most valuable. Not only was I getting the information firsthand, but also the apprentices, I think, were more involved in the project, valued the project more, and were more interested in the project when they were a part of the project.
Yeah, I love that. So it sounds like you have sort of a continuous quality improvement philosophy where you're iterating on your program to make improvements based on the voice of the kind of hidden stakeholder. We build these programs for apprentices,
Absolutely.
but often they're not at the table when we build them. So yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, I walked into a very, I think, unique and fortunate situation where they had a program previously, and I was kind of just resurrecting, and I walked in at the right time to be able to make all of those improvements. And like I said, we meet weekly, and every week we're coming up with new things that we can do.
That's so great. All right, Rachel, how about challenges? Have you been thinking this whole time about like the challenges you faced in evolving your program? Can you share those with the group?
Yes, of course. And I think just, adding to what Kim said, we have we have a semi-annual check-in with our apprentices, just one-on-one, to get their feedback, and really to make sure, because, when we started this pilot in 2015, you think, this is the best thing, we're making sure the skills are being addressed. And we wanted to make sure that the apprentices, and I was fortunate, I had a really good relationship with our first cohort. I have them with all, but, even the first round, who they felt very comfortable, texting me, writing to me, calling me and saying, this is really working. This isn't working. I would, we were trying to think of, try not to have them go too much outside of the company. And instead they're like, actually, we want to be outside of the class. We want to have a classroom training. We want to be able to really just focus on the RTI portion, and then do the OJT and have that split. And so really getting that consistent feedback is really, made that really critical in the process, because it has, as Kim mentioned, they're the ones doing it, and that's why initially I said, you want to build a program that addresses what the companies need. but also what the apprentices want, right? And I know that, of course, not everyone is going to be, if you ask a young student, they might say they want to be a TikTok influencer or, YouTuber or whatever they call themselves. So that, take that away. But when it comes down to really thinking about what they want to do with their career, especially as they're senior, going into the workforce, they are focused on what they really want to do, or at least want to try what they want to try to do.
Right.
And so, having that open-ended conversation with them, and they know that they can contact me at any time. That is really important. And I think too, can we, is right on the communication. I know, Melissa, we talked earlier about this as well. The biggest challenge too is that this is not it. Unlike the mechatronics where we teach them how to manage an automated system, apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship are not automated. They're individuals with they have lives, they have families, they have they have a unique set of skill sets and backgrounds, and so as much as you want, what the goals are, what the skills that they need to really succeed to do. But each pathway is somewhat unique, right? And it has to be flexible, and you have to have that communication. So there's no easy, like, okay, we're going to start and now just throw them through like a Ford assembly line, and they just you just put all the skill set parts on them, and they come out as a skilled technician, and it's great. And
Right.
they just do a whole new 100. That's just not how it works. And if you're coming into this thinking that you have a strong training plan, and you have a strong classroom training, and now you just throw them through it and it'll be great. Like, the day one to the end of the program, and you just all hands off. That's just not the case. And I think the other big challenge, and just companies in general, if you want to actually recruit and bring in young talent, they are young. And so you have to be committed to building them up. Some of them, this is their first job ever. Attendance at school is a lot different than attendance at a company, and those expectations. And there has to be that willingness to train them. And a lot of the things that you are assuming as someone in the industry for 20 years, forget about. And you have to take a step back and try to remember yourselves as that young professional that didn't break down those assumptions of they should know that. They shouldn't know that. They shouldn't know nothing. That's the problem. They're coming from really building them up. And so our companies do a phenomenal job of, understanding that their role is to train the apprentice, train the pre-apprentice on all the skill sets, not just the technical skill sets. And if you have that commitment, and have a strong mentor, those are really the winning elements to that. But that's the reality of it. It's a challenge, but it's also very rewarding too. Because these are individuals that, these are life-changing pathways for them. And, they're buying houses now, they're, having families, and you're just seeing them succeed. So it is rewarding, but it also is challenging, all the same. So.
Thank you for sharing that. We have to always be reminded that we're dealing with human beings, and it's so critical. Just in the interest of time, I know that we're running out of time, and I wanted to maybe have time for a couple of questions. Kim, if there's any final parting thoughts, words that you want to share with anyone, why don't we hear from you one last time? Any advice for employers or benefits the program has done for Ferroglobe? Anything you'd like to share?
Sure. One thing that I have noticed, I've been with Globe for 2 years now, and probably the biggest thing that these apprenticeships have done for us, and of course all of the customized training that we do, in addition to the apprenticeship programs, it has really changed the culture of the company towards one of training and continuous improvement. When I first got here and I said, okay, what kind of training are we going to do? It was silence. It was crickets. They didn't, it was like pulling teeth trying to get someone to tell me what kind of training we needed. But as time went on and we worked on it and people saw that, yes, we really are going to do some training, and I get training requests, I would say at least one a week minimum. An employee asking me for some sort of training or development. So it really goes a long way. And I know a lot of companies are kind of fearful that if they do offer a lot of training, or if they do offer apprenticeship programs or credentials, that maybe those employees will get these credentials and they'll move on to another company. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that could happen. But from my experience, I have seen improved retention when you invest in your employees and they know that they are valued and they know that they have opportunities with your company. They are much more likely to stay with you, from my experience. So my advice is, don't let that part worry you. I actually think the opposite's going to happen.
Thank you so much, Kim. That's so critical. And that's been my experience too. Employers seem to feel like starting an apprenticeship is somehow risky, that they're going to lose people, but in fact, it's actually a retention strategy. So thank you so much, both of you. I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing with our audience. I think that this is going to be recorded and shared out among our network. You both have such valuable insights to share. So really, thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Becky Caldwell to talk about how you can get involved.
Do we want to bring the slides back up?
Yep, pulling the slides back up right now. And I just wanted to mention too, if folks had any questions, they could, if folks had any questions, I absolutely can put them in the chat too, for our brilliant speakers. All right, it's loading now. Thank you for the patience.
I get the fun job of talking about what metal can do for you. This has been a great conversation because, and this is a special project to us because it does, in this project, we can help companies build out apprenticeship programs that are registered and non-registered. So that would include a pre-apprenticeship program. So if you're interested in talking to us about how we can support your efforts, and just we have a lot of expertise on our team. We've all dealt with pre-apprenticeship and we know what the challenges are. Please give us a call. So let's go to the next slide. We're an intermediary, so we can help you do all sorts of things with apprenticeship. As I said, we do through Metal Jobs for the Future, which is a nonprofit. We help support registered apprenticeship programs, and we can give you a lot of technical assistance. We can help you implement a new program or connect you with a group sponsor in your area. And we also have some incentive funding available, which I can talk about next. The Metal program has a lot of tools available that you should take advantage of. There's a lot of curriculum online that can help you as it could be an aspect of your training for a pre-apprenticeship or an apprenticeship program. It can be included in your RTI. So the website, I think JT might have shared it already, but it's called metalforamerica.org. And you go on there, you register, you take 8 hours of training, and that's through the Metal program. But the Composite Institute also has the ACE program, which is focused on machining, which of course is important to all the companies as well. So you can sign up for all the training and have your employees take it, your apprentices, your pre-apprentices, it's all free. And then part of the project, our big part of the project is supporting companies that are interested in apprenticeships. So we meet you where you are, talk to you about what you're interested in and what your options are, how to develop a work process, how to do the paperwork, and support you through that process. We also have a partner called FEF on this project that is focused on internships. So send us a note and we can connect you with that team if you're interested in getting some support to develop new internship programs at your company. Next. And as I said, this project has some funding available. which Kim, Washington Manufacturer, was the first group to apply and to win incentive funding award through the Metal Project. And it's up to $24,000 per program, $4,000 per participant. It can be used all sorts of, it's not enough, of course, to start a whole new program, but it goes a long way to supplementing your project and getting it off the ground. You can buy tools and supplies and, work on curriculum development, do a mentor training. And for this project, the eligible applicants are companies involved in casting, forging, and plate rolling. We do have another project at JFF that also has some incentive funding, and it's a broader swath of manufacturing. So send me a note if you're interested in either one. So there's my email, and you are welcome to send me a note and let me know if you'd like to talk about it or receive our application. The metal money is available on a rolling basis, so we're taking applications all the time. I think that's it. Is that the end of? There's our contact information. There's Lucinda's. She'd love to talk to you about, especially one thing we should have mentioned before is that through the Metal Project, there are some boot camps going on at Penn State and at UTK, University of Tennessee, that are envisioned as a pre-apprenticeship. So they're a great way to get people involved in learning the basics of casting and forging. So Lucinda knows all about that. You send her a note if you'd like to hear about the boot camps, or contact them through that Metal for America website. And there's my email, and there's Melissa. So do we have any last questions? Please stay in touch. As Jessica and Melissa mentioned, this is a 12-part series. This is number 2. In December, we're going to have some companies talk about registered apprenticeships, some American companies, and Goodwin will be on there. And then in January, the Goodwin program will be on there, which is an interesting. They're a partner on this project too, to talk about the value of apprenticeship to their company and how it's changed their company and what it's meant, and what we can learn from it.
Real quick, just jumping in, folks. Thank you everybody for your participation today. So the December webinar registration should be out and available, and if not, we can get that to you. And then we're working on the rest of the series, the other 9. January 2025 will come out soon, so we don't have that up yet, but you're on the list. And I also put in the chat, there's a link to a forms, which is just a survey. If you want to get some more information, and just fill that out, we'll contact you. So feel free to do it either way. Call Becky, email Becky, fill out the form. We will be here to help you. So I will just pause for a second. Any last questions, and then pass it to Melissa for any kind of final words and thanks.
Last questions. We have some experts on the line here. All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for your participation. I appreciate it. This has been so valuable. I've enjoyed getting to hear about Ferroglobe and the GACC programs. Really, really phenomenal programs. And just thank you so much for sharing with everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.